Well, that was a little better than 2 runs.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm your host, Stacey Gotsoulias, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. So, Steve, my producer, is here, but you're only going to hear him. He's having camera issues. Steve,
Yes.
Tell everyone what we have for today.
Disembodied voice today on our YouTube side. We have a preview of tonight's game, the finale in Cleveland with Clark Schmidt on the bump, injury updates as well. And of course, we got to start with that big victory and 11-run downpour, Stacey. Things looking awesome on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was kind of a reversal of Monday, where the Yankees got things started in the first inning, scored 2, and then they couldn't score again. And Cleveland did the same thing. And then the Yankees, 11 unanswered runs. I mean, it was fantastic. A little worrisome at first, but really good. And of course, there were hitting heroes that you don't normally expect for the Yankees, mainly Franchy Cordero, Willie Calhoun. You'd expect Anthony Rizzo to be a hitting hero, but I'm loving the Cordero thing. Yes, put up a graphic about Cordero. He's the only Yankee besides Robin Ventura in 2002 to hit 3 home runs and collect 10 ribbies in their first 6 games as a Yankee. Now, I always love stats like that because when you think of the Yankees and how long they've been the Yankees and how many players have been the Yankees and all the championship teams, and it's funny that it's Robin Ventura and Franchy Cordero who are those guys. And actually, Cordero hit those 3 home runs in his last 4 games that he's played for the Yankees. So he is making a case for himself to stick around at least until Bader comes back. And we'll have stuff on that later. The funny thing about tonight's game was I believe nearly everyone else got a hit except Gleyber. He did walk, but he was one of the only ones who didn't hit. And he was the one who started the season on fire. And he's cooling off just a teens, not too terrible. You know, getting the walk is good for him. But yeah, it's kind of funny that he's kind of cooling down and other guys are stepping up. Judge getting on base as usual. His streak is up to 43 games on base. Or no, is it 44 now?
It's 43.
So 43? Okay. So yeah, it was a great night for the offense. Again, it was just funny that both the first 2 games, 2 runs, you're thinking, I'm sure Cleveland was like, yes, we got 2 runs off Cole. Maybe we'll knock him out early. And then he settled down. And speaking of that, I didn't completely jinx him. Although with the way the bottom of the first started, I thought to myself, I shouldn't have said anything on Monday Night Show. What was I thinking? He gave up those 2 runs in the bottom of the first. That's all he gave up. Lasted 7 innings. Now, it wasn't a normal Cole outing. He only had 3 strikeouts, which for him is really low. But Steve said on Monday's show that I almost said it. Guardians don't swing a lot. They're not like a Baltimore, and they're not like
not a swing and miss type club.
Right. So for us watching Cole, it's surprising that he only had 3 strikeouts, but for anyone who watches Cleveland, they understand why he only had 3 strikeouts. But it was good. 2 runs on 5 hits, walked 2. The 7 innings was really big. He's 3-0 on the season now. His ERA is a sparkling 1.40. And the great thing about this is because he lasted 7 innings, because the Yankees scored so many runs, they were in a comfortable spot after the 5 spot that they put up in that 1 inning. So they didn't really have to worry about anything, really. They could have put anyone in the game. They had Albert Breyu come in. He pitched a scoreless 8th and 9th, which saves the rest of the bullpen, who's probably going to need it because of tomorrow's starter, but we'll talk about that more in segment 3. We won't get there yet.
On Tuesday, we talked a lot about Anthony Volpe and his slow start for first 31. Stacey on the bench for the first time, getting his first day off, not a full day off. Of course, he came in and played defense in the 9th inning. But your thoughts on giving Volpe a day off?
I think that was good for him. Takes the pressure off him a little bit there, because I feel like he's probably feeling the pressure. I know the fans aren't being too hard on him yet because they understand that he's a rookie and it's going to take time for him to get going. He didn't have a lot of experience in AAA, and yeah, I think that was good for him. And Cabrera at short. Because the Yankees have those options. They have about 6 guys who you could put in as infielders, along with the 6 guys you could put in as outfielders. So they have options for when guys need breaks, and I think that was probably good for him.
The original timeline of Bader might still be true here. We're going to talk about a little bit later, but I kind of wanted to talk about Franchy Cordero a little bit. You brought him up there at the top. Your thoughts on Franchy so far? Obviously, it's worked out. And he's been able to produce in his limited role. But overall, your thoughts on Franchy Cordero so far?
Yeah, good for him. They interviewed him on Yes after the game on Tuesday night and asked him about his approach during the home run at bat. And he just said he was looking for something breaking. And, he's taking advantage of this. When the news came around that the Yankees signed him, we were both like, what? Why? And we couldn't understand why they were doing this move. And it's paying off for him. And so far it's paying off for the Yankees. Hitting wise, it's fun to watch him. Outfield, some of his throws are airmailed to like home and into the infield. So that's a little scary, but it's fun watching him take advantage of this opportunity, because a lot of people were thinking, why are they doing this? He's not going to do anything. This is crazy. And now that he's having this kind of start, I noticed, because I follow a lot of people on Twitter, fans of other teams, who are just like, oh, here we go. It's going to be like a Matt Carpenter situation. This guy's going to come out of nowhere where people think he's done, and then he's going to hit all these home runs for the Yankees, and it's so annoying. And for Yankee fans, it's fun, but for opposing fans, it's not that much fun.
What do you think the Yankees will end up doing if this pace continues with Cordero once Bader comes back?
Oof.
Is there a real answer? Like, is there an actual answer, or is it just someone has to be cut?
I know. You see, this is bad because they can't, we've been talking about this ad nauseum, but they can't really cut Hicks because they owe him too much money. But I feel like if he doesn't do anything, he did get hits tonight, but if he doesn't continuously do something, and if Franchy Cordero steps up, how do you get rid of a guy like that?
We also remember it is a 1-year contract.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do with him. So far, I'm loving it. Again, you always like seeing things like this. Like, someone joked that he was going to win the Aaron Small Award. Now, if you're not familiar with that person, Aaron Small literally came out of nowhere in 2005 for the Yankees and went 10-0, I believe, when he started for no one heard of this guy. He came out of nowhere, won all of these games, and was just amazing for the Yankees. And the Yankees sometimes get guys like that. It's like lightning in a bottle. And it could be fun if Franchy Cordero does that sort of a thing, but we'll see how it works out.
I mean, it probably, depending on how Donaldson is doing, could end up being Willie Calhoun. That would be a potentially obvious move back down.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of time between now
Calhoun's
and then.
had a couple hits too. Yeah. That's fun to watch too. Cause a friend of mine texted me yesterday or the day before and said, who's Willie Calhoun? And I had to explain to him who he was. And he said, okay. Cause when my friends who watch the Yankees, but don't pay as much attention as I do, because I host a show about them 5 days a week, they'll text me and be like, who is this dude? Where did he come from? So thanks to you and all the minor stuff that's going on, I know a lot of these guys now, and I can talk to all my friends and tell them, oh, this guy was here and this is what he does and this is where he came from. So yeah, so it's fun to see a guy like him also get big hits for the Yankees out of nowhere, because again, it annoys.
We'll see if he ends up sticking around. Let us know in the comment section down below here on YouTube. Do you believe the Franchy Cordero hype? Are you, I wouldn't say all in yet, but are you at least in for the ride right now? Let us know in the comment section here on YouTube. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, those aforementioned injury updates. So stick around.
Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. You can bet lots of things at FanDuel. You can try and figure out if the Yankees are going to win the division. Maybe you can bet on how many strikeouts Gerrit Cole will have in 2023, how many home runs Aaron Judge will have. So don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. So we have injury updates. Some are good, some are okay, some could be better. So Carlos Rodon, his return may be delayed because a back issue popped up. He was experiencing tightness, and he was supposed to face live batters this week, either Monday or Tuesday. That didn't happen. So it's only going to be a delay of a few days. It's not a major thing. They're just going to make sure that he's okay, and he will face live batters Friday. So it's only like a, 3-day delay. It's not anything crazy. But, the Yankees have to be careful with the back issue. Luckily, the original issue he had with his forearm is not bothering him. So that's always a good thing, because when you hear about a guy who's injured and you find out that there's another injury bothering him, which is usually what happens with Luis Severino, it's kind of a scary thing. And speaking of Luis Severino, he threw a bullpen session on Monday. It went well. He said he hasn't felt his lat injury in over a week. Let's hope it stays that way, because he's had lat injuries in the past. It's not the same exact spot that he had it last year, but let's hope that he will make it back to the rotation. It's just scary with Severino. Anytime there's an injury update with him, Yankee fans have to hold their breath and hope that he didn't either re-aggravate the original injury or injure something else while he was rehabbing, because that's happened. Luis Severino hasn't had a full healthy season in 5 years, and this just needs to happen. So let's all cross our fingers that everything goes well for Luis Severino and he comes back to the rotation soon. And the same thing for Rodon. Now, going back to him just for a second, Aaron Boone said about Rodon's timeline that an April return is a little aggressive. I take that to mean don't expect to see him until early May, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I know they were expecting more late April, possibly early May. So just think of early May in your head for Carlos Rodon, and hopefully Luis Severino will return sooner than they think. Now, speaking of another guy who could return sooner, Harrison Bader has graduated to hitting machine batting practice, and he could start a rehab assignment as early as next week. Now, this poses an issue because, as we discussed in segment 1, the Yankees have all these outfielders now, and when Bader comes back, it's going to make them have to make decisions and figure out who's going to stay, who's going to go, who they can get rid of, who needs to go back down to the minors. I mean, some guys have options. They can go down to the minors, and if the Yankees need them again, if someone else gets injured, they can bring them back up. But it'll be good to have Bader back just because he's the center fielder. Judge can play his natural position again, because, some people were talking about Judge last season they were surprised that he didn't win a Gold Glove. It's because he split time between right field and center field, and that took away from, he probably could have won something or even came close to winning something. But because of the fact that the Yankees didn't really have a center fielder last year until they traded for Bader, who was hurt, who didn't play until the last few weeks of the season, Aaron Judge had to play center field. So it'll be good to have Bader back. Let's just hope that, he continues to be able to go through batting practice, goes through the rehab, doesn't aggravate the oblique, because that's always a tricky injury to come back from. All right, we may have an explanation as to why Gleyber Torres didn't quite do as well tonight. According to Brendan Cuddy, Gleyber Torres' right hip flexor groin area isn't scheduled for tests, but was getting worked on as of about 5 minutes ago, and we're recording at 9:30 at night, so right after the game ended. Boone said that Gleyber felt pain in the area early in the game on Tuesday night, and it was why he didn't push it on that long single in the ninth that he hit. Okay. Oh, so that's right. He did get a hit. So, oh, great. Hey, maybe Peraza can come up. He can play second for Gleyber. No, I'm just kidding. So hopefully that's not a serious thing for Gleyber. And yeah, because why does this always happen? We have good injury updates and then someone else gets injured. It's just the Yankee way. So in segment 3, we will be looking ahead to tomorrow's game. It's 1:10 in Cleveland. It's a day game. It's a getaway day for the Yankees because they're coming back home. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Pro Baseball GM is the coolest game I've played in a long time because I've always thought I could be a great major league GM, but it turns out it's not all that easy. And if you've had the same thought and fantasized about being Brian Cashman, you can download Pro Baseball GM immediately. You get to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise. You play through the seasons, you lead your franchise and your fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. You're responsible for hiring the coaches, the staff, managing the money, scouting, drafting, and you manage through difficult personalities and injuries, and you navigate your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of a season. It's all in a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free and playable offline. Play on the go as you want and when you want. Locked On Yankees listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo code LOCKEDON in the game store, so make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. So as I said, it's the rubber game because Cleveland won 1, Yankees won 1. So now who's going to win the third game? Now, Cleveland did not have a starter listed as we were recording this, but Clark Schmidt is listed for the Yankees. I'll be nice. He's had issues the past 2 starts, both Yankee losses. April 1st, 3 1/3 innings, 3 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. He gave up 2 home runs. On April 7th, 3 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs on 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, didn't give up any home runs, which is good. He needs to go more than 3 1/3. He needs to go more than 3 1/3 because the Yankees are going straight home to face Minnesota for 4 games starting Thursday. And as I said earlier, luckily, Cole going 7 on Tuesday night and only, the Yankees only needing Albert Abreu to back him up there helps the bullpen. But I'm afraid with the way Clark Schmidt has pitched in his last 2 starts, it's going to be all hands on deck because, I don't envision him going any further than 4. And if he goes to 5, I'll eat this hat because I don't think that's going to happen because Clark Schmidt does not have a put-away pitch. He really doesn't. And the Yankees need Rodon and Severino to come back really quick. So, I'm not looking forward to tomorrow's game. I'll be real with you. I'm really not. I'm kind of afraid of what's going to happen with Clark Schmidt. And I'm really hoping the offense can do something against this TBD guy that's going to be pitching tomorrow. And hopefully, the Yankees can have a repeat of Tuesday night. And maybe Clark Schmidt's pitching issues won't come into effect if the Yankees offense can fire on all cylinders like they did on Tuesday night.
You said 4 innings would be miraculous, 5 at best. Anything else you want to see from Clark Schmidt? Anything in particular outside of just hitting that number?
I just want him to put guys away. In the first start, the 5 strikeouts were great, but aside from those 5 strikeouts, there were other at-bats that went on too long because he just couldn't get that 3rd strike. He couldn't get the guy to stop a guy from hitting, and, almost like he was nibbling too much. It was kinda like watching an old Phil Hughes start, which is really frustrating because you see guys go from 0-2 to 3-2, and then the guy ends up walking, or 0-2 to a hit, and, it's just you don't wanna see him nibble. You just wanna see him go after guys. Just go after guys and strike them out, because you can. He has pitches that can strike guys out, and I don't understand why he's having such a problem with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be happy with 4, but at least that's better than 3 1/3. He can't do 3 1/3, 3 starts in a row. It can't happen.
We'll see. We'll see. Again, day game in Cleveland. Let us know your predictions in the comment section here on YouTube. What do you think Clarke Schmidt is going to do in his 3rd go around? Thanks for making us your first listen. For your second, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. You can win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball everywhere, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and we'll see you tomorrow.